Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the most suspenseful FNAF fan games ever created. Instead of throwing constant jump scares at you, these games slowly build tension until every sound, every moment, and every second has you on edge. Some of these prove that what you don't see can be far scarier than what you do, so let's dive into them. When you think of a fantastic FNAF game, what comes to mind? Is it good character designs, a good story, fantastic mechanics? Well, honestly, it's probably a mix of all of those. Because of course it is, that's literally what makes a game good. Now my question for you is, have you ever wanted to play a game with just a bunch of nothing going on, but the game serves it to you in such a way that it feels like you're actually getting something? Kind of like eating celery. You think, oh hey, I'm getting energy, but you're literally not at all because you burn more calories eating it than you actually get for eating it. Well, if you've ever wanted a FNAF game just like that, then Freddy and the Gang, the game we'll be talking about in this video, just might be for you. Sit back and relax because it has been quite a while since I've gotten as mad as I have in this video. So let's dive right into it. Unfortunately for me, this game begins with a tutorial night. And if you know anything about FNAF games, that's literally never a good sign. And I'll really need this tutorial night since you'll learn that I quite literally didn't understand several integral mechanics throughout my playthrough of this game. I should start by saying that before each night, we get an email explaining some things. This replaces the phone calls that most other FNAF games have.
Hey Jeremy, welcome to the team. I know the job listing was pretty vague about a lot of things, so I thought I would write to you with some more details. I'm sure you remember that mall that collapsed during the big earthquake a few years ago, back in 1992, I think. The damage to the building was considered so severe that no one even tried to salvage anything. They just marked the whole area as condemned and built a new mall. Well, recently, me and my team of contract renovators were hired to go through some of the wreckage of the old mall, specifically the wreckage of the old pizza place that used to be there. I think it was called Freddy's Pizza Place or something along those lines. I guess it was kind of the main attraction, very popular with the kids at the time, but I wouldn't know. My little girl was far too young back then to be going out to malls. Anyways, our job is to go to the old pizza place at night and clear through the rubble to try to find the old animatronic mascot characters that used to perform on stage there, and then bring them to the warehouse you're currently in. They're probably in pretty bad shape, but our employer insists that they are of immense personal value, and he is paying far too well for me to be asking questions.
After that, we're booted to the tutorial, but I'll be explaining how the game works throughout this video, so we won't really need that. However, before we can jump into night one, we first have a minigame to play, that being a classic FNAF 6 style salvage minigame with Bonnie. Let's just begin by saying that these character models are interesting, to say the least. Not only are they oddly unproportional, but they also are pretty much all fat as hell, so that's always super nice to see. All we have to do is play a weird frequency on a radio, push some buttons and shit, shock the hell out of Bonnie, and eventually he'll lean forward at us, which I will admit I'm not a really huge fan of. However, once we shock him to put him back into his place, we do see his eyes look like this, which I'll be totally honest with you guys, cannot say I'm a huge fan of.
Hey Jeremy, glad to hear your first shift went well. I'll try to keep things brief, although there are a couple things that I should know before you begin your shift tonight. Somehow, the character we salvaged last night is still operational, and furthermore, we even saw it walking around a bit today. Apparently, these characters are able to roam around freely at the old pizza place and are programmed to look for people to entertain. Currently, the only person in the building is you, so don't be surprised if you see the character wandering in your general direction. I'm fairly certain this old piece of junk doesn't pose any real threat to you. But just in case you don't feel comfortable sharing your workspace with an old beloved children's mascot character, one of my guys was actually able to figure out a solution.
And that solution, I'm not gonna read because I'm gonna tell you about it. It's my job, I do that. But with that, we finally get booted into night one and can start talking about the metric shitload of fuck we have to learn and manage. So let's start talking about the tools at our disposal. Actually, before we start talking about that, I wanna talk about the weirdest shit position our office is in. Because as I'm sure you could tell, it's not an office at all, and is instead, it's just a really massive fucking warehouse that we're just sat in the middle of. I guess right next to where we are was the only place with an outlet. I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. Anyways, now on to our tools. Of course, we have a computer. However, it's not just a camera system like it would usually be in these games. It does have cameras on it, of course, but it also has some other stuff for us to do. We can check the status of various things, mainly our vent fans and our power. That's really all that matters. And we can look at a motion detector, which I honestly found completely fucking useless because we have cameras and our eyes. Speaking of the cameras, they are pretty unique. I will give this game that much credit. There are only 3 cameras in the entire game, and each of them are in a room with a generator inside. These generators will obviously become very important later on. These cameras also only refresh once every 5 seconds. It's not a very long wait time, so you probably won't really see it as a problem. However, it is still something I feel I should point out. Inside of these cameras, you'll obviously be able to tell that there are doors to each room. We need to keep the animatronics out of these rooms, and closing the doors is obviously how we do that. However, as I'm sure you can tell, there's no way to do this from inside of the cameras. This is where turning around so fast in our swivel chair that we get sick and Ralph in the classroom and forever get remembered as the kid who threw up in class comes into play. By turning around, we will see a bunch of shit that looks really confusing, because it is. Let's just focus on these 3 levers over here. These levers control the doors in the cameras. Now, here's where these doors get really AIDS. They don't work like normal FNAF doors and eat up power. Instead, if you have a door closed for too long, it'll overheat and completely fuck itself. So, moral of the story, don't keep them closed for too long. Of course, the last thing we should talk about is this giant breaker box behind us, because trust me, I know, it looks confusing. As you can see, we have a map on the inside of the panel. This map has letter labels that correspond to each breaker switch. There are massive fans on the ceilings of the entire complex. Of course, this game has a heat system, and if the building you're in gets too hot, you guessed it right, you fucking die. Randomly throughout the night, these breakers may flip, causing a fan to stop spinning, which of course will slowly heat up the building. It'll be pretty obvious when you're overheating because your whole screen will turn red like you just survived a sniper shot in Call of Duty. Just make sure you're checking on the breaker every now and then. However, something about the fans in this game is that they're seriously loud as hell, and this game will eventually have a lot of sound cues that you'll want to listen for. Not only that, but the sound of the fans for some reason attracts the animatronics to your location. Ignoring the fact that there are fans throughout the entire building, they somehow will still be able to pinpoint exactly where you are, so you'll have to turn off the fans closest to you, not only to hear sound cues, but also to slow the speed at which the animatronics will bombard you like Zhang Zong Shang will bombard your mom. Cool. We haven't even started talking about an animatronic yet, and we already have some bullshit to constantly attend to. And stick around because there's something about this game that it doesn't tell you that ends up being probably one of the biggest plot twists of all time in the most frustrating way imaginable. All right, let's move on to talking about the only threat that Night 1 introduces. If it wasn't obvious who this would be, of course, it's Bonnie, since we did just see him in the salvage minigame. Bonnie, as he typically is the most basic character you'll find throughout this game. His goal is to just walk right up to you and pay for your services, except he actually treats you like everyone treats the hookers in GTA, pay for their services and pile drive them with your car to get the money back. Literally a life hack, by the way. Looking in front of us, we can use our flashlight to see around. There are 3 directions that characters can approach from, and Bonnie will approach us from the left. He will randomly wander around the building, except of course, the only times you'll be able to see him on the cameras is when he steps in front of the generator door. We obviously don't want him in there since he'll fuck up our generator, so we should just close the door when we see him there. Something I'm realizing I forgot to mention is what happens when these generators get attacked. Well, this game actually does have a power system. I just haven't mentioned it so far because I hate you guys and I want to keep you on your toes. The reason I didn't mention it is because if you have all 3 generators, you can pretty much do whatever you want and you will never notice your power at all. However, once you lose even 1 generator, your power will start to deplete a lot faster, and it's very likely the night will not be completed if you lose a generator early on. So really make sure you're tracking these guys, because once they enter the generator room, they won't leave until they break that bitch, like I break kids' spirit at the park by telling them that Santa Claus isn't real just to see them cry, because it's the only thing that brings me any enjoyment anymore. Anyways, back to Bonnie. Obviously, you can track Bonnie through the radar to get an exact location, and if he starts getting too close to you, just turn off the fans near you and he should wander to where the fans are on. However, I never really did this in my playthrough because, like I said, I never really ended up using the radar at all. What I chose to do was a lot easier. I would constantly turn the fans near me off until I started to get close to overheating. Then I would turn the fans back on for just long enough to not die and then turn them off again. This played a hand in stalling the animatronics for as long as possible. Then once Bonnie eventually does make it close, all you have to do is spam your flashlight at him and eventually he'll just wander away because they don't like bright lights. Something very odd I noticed is that in the email from night 1, the guy tells us that using the flashlight may just cause the animatronics to get mad and attack us instead of walking away. But I literally never had this happen, so I think that that's just a scare tactic. Either that or I'm actually just the luckiest man alive. I mean, I did pull Vampiric Tutor and Emeritus of Woe from the new Strixhaven set, so maybe it is the latter. But that's about all night 1 has to offer. Not too bad, and overall, I think this game could go on to be a very good time and totally not one of the most degrading, soul-sucking games I've ever played in the entirety of my life. All right, so we're gonna be playing some fan games today. Get it? FNAF, a fan game. I'm gonna kill myself, don't mind me. Okay, so H is me. H, I, and G is what I'd want to turn off. He's up near me. Boom, boom, boom. That's the plan. That'll be the plan. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Okay. Go away. Hey. I'm listening, because I thought I heard footsteps last time of him leaving. Okay. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Hey, I did it. Look at that. Hooray! 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 Moving on to night 2, we begin with a Freddy salvage minigame. It literally plays out the exact same way as Bonnie's. Play some weird radio shit, make him move, shock him if he gets too close. Oh, and of course, see some eyes so spooky you shit your fucking pants. Now, night 2 introduces one new threat, and that threat is, of course, Chica! Nah, I'm kidding. It's obviously Freddy. Freddy plays an integral role of being the most aggressive character in this entire game. You know those generators I mentioned last night? Yeah? Yeah. Freddy does not like those things at all. Let's just start by mentioning that Freddy can also attack you like Bonnie via the hallway directly in front of you. However, it is not very often he will do this since he would much rather prefer to just fuck your generators in the ass. Freddy can travel to any of your 3 generators. Freddy is incredibly fast, and you will really need to be watching the cameras to track his movements, as he'll jump from one generator to another at lightning speed. And he is not at all forgiving with how long it takes him to enter the room once he appears in the camera, usually only having it take 1 or 2 refreshes of the camera for him to enter the room, which of course is like not a lot of time at all. Of course, if we see Freddy at one of these doors, just like Bonnie, close it and eventually he'll go away. But this bodes the question. If the only way we know he's at the door is by looking at the camera, and when the door is closed, you can't see if someone is by it, and there are no cameras to look at besides these door cameras, how are you supposed to know when Freddy has left the door? We've already established you can't leave the doors closed for too long or else the generator will fuck itself anyways, even without the assistance of a 6'5" hung like a horse robot. Well, you could check the radar. However, there's no way to tell which fucking dot is who, so I wouldn't even waste my time. What I would do is, once I closed a door on Freddy, I'd wait maybe 15 seconds, then I'd open the door and check if he was still at the door, and my heart would stop as I whipped around as fast as humanly possible to close the door again, and just hope and pray that it didn't take too long. Is this the best strategy? Literally no. Would I recommend it? Well, I wouldn't recommend this game at all, in all honesty, so no. But hey, it worked for me after enough attempts, and I promise, on later nights, there were many attempts, and you can see all of them over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Overall, Freddy doesn't add a whole lot more crazy shit to the game, except really how long it took for me to really find out the best way to deal with him. Because something I'd noticed was happening is that since I wouldn't know when Freddy left, I'd find out once I saw him at another door, and this would pretty much lead to a cycle of me always having at least one door closed for pretty much the entire night, and actually fucking myself terribly hard. Not a fun experience. Don't be a retard. It makes life a lot harder. This is also where I want to take time to mention how fucking long these nights are. Like seriously, oh my god. They're just about 8 minutes long in this goddamn game. And even though I feel like I've made it sound like these nights go by fast, holy shit, do they just not at all. Each early night of this game feels like a complete slog that never ends. Totally not something I would recommend. I have no idea why some fan games insist on making their nights so fucking long. I can't stand it. I could also mention the annoying ass hallucinations in this game, because of course it has plenty of them. The hallucinations in FNAF 1 were okay because they didn't happen all that often, but the hallucinations in this game happen all the time. And it's only one hallucination you'll get, so it's not even interesting after the third time you see it, which will probably be during night 1. And they're so big and hurt my fucking eyes and make me either want to shit my pants, cry, kill myself, or D, all of the above. This ain't too bad. We got a little bit of a cycle going. Not really. I actually have no idea what's going on. I can't even lie to you. I know very basically what is I know generically what is going on. You know, we could have some really good progress being made here. Nothing would even dream of hurting me. My rocking 19-pack abs, they're chiseled like diamond. You're not gonna hurt me, you know what I mean? You ain't gonna grab a clump of this rump. It's gonna stay to itself. I don't want you nowhere near me, bro. Not even for a moment. I don't like that too much. Oh my god, they're both still there. I don't know why this feels so much harder than it actually is. Like, this game is like, I'm actually stressed out. Like, I can't even lie. And that's problem solved. Problem solved. Oh my god. That's gross. Night 3 begins with yet another salvage minigame. This time for Chica. Same thing goes here once again. Make her do a little jig, fuck with her insides.
I was the first. The devil cut off my wings. An angel saved us, but the devil will return.
And then there's some purple text that I can't for the fuck of me even begin to decipher. If you guys have any idea what this says, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that was definitely a bit creepy. I did like that. I did enjoy that. I can't even lie. Anyways, we flash her like she's Star Fox from Late Shift at Nintendo World. Don't let her finger us, and voila! We can start night 3. Night 3 obviously brings along Chica, and if you were hoping that after that cool cutscene in the salvage section that she was going to be at all interesting or unique, then you really need to start lowering your expectations. Because there is nothing FNAF devs like to do more than make several of their characters do the exact same thing. Chica is pretty much just Bonnie, except she attacks from the right side instead of the left. Who would have thought? I would have never seen that one coming. Something a little bit more interesting about Chica, however, is that she is much more aggressive. She moves around much more frequently, which means she'll attack you in your office a lot more. And she also, like, isn't super responsive to the light. Don't get me wrong, the light does make her go away, but you'll have to spam it on her for a fuck of a lot longer than Bonnie. I'm not really sure why she is this way, but hey, that's how she is. Another thing about Chica is that she can be spotted on your generator cameras trying to eat your generators because she's a fat fucking pig, which I find weird because I thought she was Chica the chicken, not Chica the your mom. I know, guys. I know. I'm a comedic god and I deserve a trophy. Hand it over. Editor, give me the trophy right now. Make it look nice. Hey, I see a speck of dirt on it. Clean it off! No, not with the dirty rag, you fucking piglet. Use the clean rag. There. That's better. Get to scrubbing.
Good boy.
Back to the editing dungeon for you. It's on this night where you really start to notice how difficult it's getting to not lose a generator. It feels like there's always at least one character sitting outside of your doors, and you have them all closed so often that eventually either someone slips in or they overheat and break anyways, leading to a death. And when the nights are so fucking long, losing at 7 minutes is really enough to make you start questioning whether or not you want to stay a free man in society or not. I really wish I had more to talk about on this night, but again, Chica is literally just Bonnie with pretty much no differences except being a hell of a lot more aggressive. So I will choose to move on to night 4. All right, that's Golden Freddy. I'm gonna pretend like I didn't even see that. Why are you bent over like that? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Bitch, my flashlight don't work now? Don't do that. How come your lights work and mine don't? My flashlight don't even work. Tell me how that make any sense. Don't you dare. Oh, he's gonna do it, isn't he? Don't you do it. Okay, he did it. Hey. What's up with you? Yeah, I don't know what that was, but I didn't like it. I just don't know what I'm doing, bro. I don't know what's going on. It just doesn't make sense, bro. There's very clearly something I don't understand here. But I can't look it up. I can't look up what I'm supposed to do. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest issue is I can't look it up. Night four, here we are. Of course, we start with a salvage, and this time we have to fix up Foxy. And by fix up Foxy, I mean blind him and tase him because he was reaching for the license and registration that we asked him to reach for. Foxes have a lot of negative connotations around them, and I happen to speciesily profile. Once we flash Foxy, however, we see that he actually disappears, which does make me incredibly uncomfortable. Yes, thank you for asking. Now that we're sitting here with our dicks in our hands, we notice a figure slowly start to appear in the background. It's got a white forehead, and that makes me incredibly nervous that it's the puppet. Yep, exactly. The stupid fucking skinny ass, french fry ass, pencil ass, charcoal ass, chopstick ass, anorexic ass, carrot that didn't grow long enough ass, kid that doesn't eat enough because his mom is a pig and won't let him eat ass puppet. Just coming right up to me and riding my shit. Fantastic. Let's just get to the night section already. Night 4, of course, introduces Foxy. And oh my god, he just might be the worst character on the face of the planet because he has by far killed me more than any other character in this entire game. Foxy does not give a shit about how much sound you make. He will come for that ass no matter what. One good thing about him before we get into the piles and piles of bad things about him is that he never appears on your cameras, which means he'll never try to eat your generators. However, that is still bad news because that just means he's hungry for booty, and you happen to have a whole lot of it. Foxy makes no fucking sound cues from what I was able to notice, and he can attack you from any of the 3 hallways. So this night is when this game devolves into turning and flashing simulator, which I'm sure you're all very excited for. Whenever you see Foxy, unlike every other character you will be able to see from your desk, he will not stand still. He has Tourette's syndrome, and his main tick is sprinting at your desk as fast as humanly or robotically possible. I'm gonna kill myself. That was actually the worst joke I've ever written. What is wrong with me? All you have to do is hold your flashlight on him and he'll leave before reaching your desk. However, the problem that I had with Foxy is that if you ever let go of your light, if even for one single frame during this run animation, he will fucking annihilate you. And he also happens to play the loudest sound on planet Earth when he runs at you, which never failed to scare the shit out of me and cause my finger to leave my mouse, making me die to Foxy 6 minutes into the fucking night and make me pull my hair out in front of the mirror and shave only the top of my head like one of those mentally insane people you always see in the pictures. You know, the people that post themselves checking into psych wards like that makes you cool. Die. People have problems. Don't glorify it. Foxy is super easy to deal with. I just jumped every single time I noticed him. When there's no way to track him, he makes no sound cues and appears at random. It makes it really hard to stay focused, especially once you settle into the monotonous pattern of flashing every hallway. Even if he doesn't scare you and make you let go of your mouse, force of habit will probably cause you to let go before you even notice that Foxy is running at you, causing a death anyways. So that's just fucking amazing. And of course, the problem of characters constantly being at your generator doors and raping your power constantly gets even worse on this night because the characters get even more aggressive and sit and camp your doors for even longer. So long that sometimes they will sit at your door for longer than it takes for the generator to shit itself from keeping the door closed, making it literally completely impossible to not lose a generator, which in turn makes it completely impossible to beat the night. Literally, what the fuck am I even playing right now? But you guys just wait. That twist I was talking about will be coming up very soon. And once you hear it, I think you'll lose your mind just about as much as I did when I figured it out. But for now, let's move on to night 5. How are you now? And welcome back to some more Freddy and the Gang. Freddy and the Dick Gang. Freddy and the Big Dick Gang. Demonetized. Freddy and the Dick Gang. Let's jump into Thursday. See what new ass it has to give me. I am prepared. I am ready to be railed in the back. Operation Put a Hole in My Back is in session. The noise can't get Foxy to go away. I'm totally prepared. Foxy's always been a sucker for lights. He doesn't fucking like him. He's a little piss baby bitch boy, and that's fine. It's okay to be a piss baby bitch boy about certain things. This is not something you can deal with. You can't handle my emotion. So Freddy got in, which means I lose. All right, let's try that again. I think Foxy's fine when he's back there. I'm guessing he's gonna get close. I'll be ready. If he steps closer to me, Operation put a hole in his back. I want to kill myself, dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? How do you guys watch me? What's wrong with you guys? There's got to be something wrong. There's got to be something going on with you guys, you freaking weirdos. Oh, my shitting dick. Fuck. Fuck my dick. My dick is fucked. Is that Chica? That's Chica. Oh, my fucking cock. What the fuck? I got to get ready to take a hit here. Where the fuck did my flashlight? My flashlight's gone. Was the night supposed to end earlier? Is that what that was? I don't know what that was. My flashlight was fucking gone. It was gone for a moment. There was literally about to be shit in my britches. Let me tell you what there was about to be. There was about to be. Another night, another salvage minigame. Just kidding. This night doesn't actually have one. We're just thrown right into it. So, we saw the marionette during the last minigame section. Does that mean she's gonna be a new threat on this night, Dexter? Oh, you silly bitch viewer. Of course not. That would actually be cool, and this game is way too cool to do something cool. Bars. However, on this night, we do get a somewhat interesting email.
Jeremy, I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. There was something behind what looked like a false wall in the pizzeria. The employer was very quick to dismiss my concerns and even threatened to terminate my contract. But the blueprints I saw yesterday confirmed it. There's more to Freddy's that they aren't telling us. An extra room, boarded off and scrubbed from any and all official documents. And for some reason, it seemed to be in far better shape than the rest of the building. Almost as if, somehow, the big earthquake back in 1992 just didn't affect the one room. It makes no sense. Me and one of the other guys are going back to the old mall tonight. The boss doesn't know about this. I don't know why, but I just can't stop thinking about it. I don't do a job halfway. If there's another character in that pizzeria, I am going to find it. The extra room is behind a flimsy false wall, so we shouldn't even need any excavating equipment. Once I get a better look, I may even see if I can bring in a seismologist to try and explain how one secret room was just completely unaffected by an earthquake of record-breaking magnitude.
Anyways, Night 5 literally introduces nothing new and is just a much harder version of Night 4, which brings up the question, how the fuck are we supposed to beat it if Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy are literally almost constantly at your generator doors? Well, dear viewer, that's where that funny little plot twist I told you about earlier comes into play. Do you want to hear the craziest shit I've ever heard in my entire life? Well, get this. Both Bonnie and Chica are unable to attack your generators. It's only Freddy. Yes, I'm serious. Despite the emails telling us to not let any characters into the generator room and being able to see both Bonnie and Chica outside of the doors, no, both of them will literally never enter the generator rooms under any circumstance. You can just fucking see them standing there for some reason. Are you fucking kidding me? Game, why are you grabbing my penis and just squeezing it as hard as you fucking can? Why did you not tell the player this? Why did you make it seem like all of the characters could attack your generators? You might be wondering how I figured it out, and it's dead ass only because I got a comment about it. Because this game pulls a post shift 2 and literally doesn't fucking tell you. Are you fucking goddamn cocksucking serious? Oh my god! How do you forget something so fucking obvious? How do you forget to tell the player something as crucial as this? I just don't fucking get it. It's mind-boggling to me. This is the second game in a row that I've covered where the game just forgets that it has to be a game and teach the player literally anything at all. I have never been more disgusted with a concept in my entire life. Guys, I know I always say find them on the cameras is my least favorite thing, but I think this fucking bullshit beats it. What do you mean you're not gonna tell me how to play your fucking game? How about you suck the cum out of my dick and gargle it? Swish it between your teeth like you're using Listerine. Spit it into the air and catch it in your mouth again. How about you take a potato peeler and just run it along the length of your foreskin and make french fries out of it? How about you go skydiving and replace your parachute with a fucking anvil? How about you shave my ass with your teeth? Treat it like a nice lawnmower. Fuck you and fuck your mother right in the face. God fucking damn it. I need to relax. It's been so long since you've gotten upset like this, and you've been doing so well. You made it all the way through Post Shift 2 without losing your cool, and you're seriously about to let this game do it to you? No, I can't let it. I must control the beast inside. The demon. I can't let him get the best of me again. I need to relax. Okay,
I'm good. I think I'm good. I can't fucking handle it! You did this to me, game! You made me this way! If you didn't suck so much dick, then maybe people would see you in a well-regard and not instantly forget about this piece of shit! Dog shit! Fucking degradable fucking bullshit! Pussy dick-ass shit fucking pile of fuck! Oh. Glad I got that out of my system. That should calm the demon in my brain for another couple of videos. Anyways, night 5 is boring in the long run. Let's just jump to night 6. Maybe that will be a bit more interesting. Fucking with me, go leave you dead or alive. Just, you know, those are the only two options. You get it. Anyways, thank you. Fucking cock! Jesus Christ. Scares me so fucking bad every time, dude. Oh my lord, bro, those hallucinations scare me more than like anything else. Oh my god, I don't even know if it's like seeing. I think it's a fucking loud ass noise in my ear, bro. Let's wave it at refresh back. There we go. You're good at it. Beep, 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 beep. Ooh. Is that Foxy? That's Foxy. Look, yeah, he can come back. Yep. Ah, bitch! I think the running at me scared me, and I think my mouse like let go for like a fraction of a second, and then that's what killed me. Because I jumped. I jumped because he fucking scared me. Dick. I don't know what the fuck. Stop doing that! Scaring the shit out of me, bro. Oh my god. Fuck! God damn it! Oh. Oh my god, dude. I hate Foxy's mechanic is so awkward. His mechanic is so awkward because I don't even know how to describe why it's awkward. Like obviously you have to hold your light on him, but you never know when he's gonna run. Like you'll get into a click pattern and then the click pattern will fuck you up. Please, please, please. I've been doing this for way too long, dude. I don't know why this game is so fucking hard. Oh! I was about to say, I don't know why this game is so fucking hard for me, dude. It's like the mechanics are so simple. I don't know why I'm struggling so much. Well, no, it's because Foxy. Foxy scares the shit out of me every single time. It makes me move my mouse and then the light goes off him. Jesus, dude.
Jeremy, I hope to God you're not in that damn warehouse. I'm writing this email because you wouldn't pick up your phone. I'm not going anywhere near that place ever again after what happened today. If you went there, then you're on your own. I now understand why that monster was locked away to be forgotten. It killed everyone. All of my coworkers, my friends. I don't know what that thing is or how it's capable of any of this, but it is pure evil. It piled up their bodies like animals after a hunt. And then it tore apart the other mascot characters like they were stuffed toys. And I could swear that it was laughing. I don't know how I survived. I just hid and then ran. It's not like the others. They're like wild animals lashing out in fear. But this is a predator hunting for sport. I think I let the devil out, Jeremy. If you somehow made it to your desk, it's safer for you to just stay there. If you try to walk through the building again, you will die. The employer is on his way right now, and he's coming from out of town. He won't get there until morning. If you have any hope of surviving, it'll be with this help. May God have mercy on your soul.
So, clearly something very bad happened, and with that comes a brand new threat, who this game just calls the Bunny. You'll notice on night 6 that every character we've seen so far is suddenly no longer active. That would probably be as a result of the Bunny. But speaking of the Bunny, what exactly does he do? Do you want to know the real answer to that? Because the answer is, I don't fucking know. No, I'm serious. I actually have no idea. I never even saw the character throughout the entire night. This is the entire night being played at high speed for you. You don't even need to open the cameras. He literally does nothing. I actually have nothing to talk about since you never see him and he doesn't do anything. And especially because none of the other characters are active during this night, the final night in the game is actually easier than the first night, which doesn't even make any sense, but fuck it, we ball. I'll roll with it, no problem. You see what I did there? Ball, roll, yeah, because balls roll. Yeah, you get it, moving on.
Jeremy, I have no idea how you got out of there alive. I would say we should get together and talk things over, but I'm far away from that evil town. Me and my daughter packed our bags and left yesterday, and I suggest you get out as well. I'm sure the last thing you want to hear right now is more info about the job, but I thought this was interesting enough to merit telling you. After all you've been through, you deserve to know. The seismologist I mentioned, he just sent me his report. He stayed up all night going through the data after saying it was the most confusing thing he'd ever seen. The earthquake back in 1992. Somehow, that mall was the center of it. As in,
The earthquake started at the mall. More specifically, Freddy Fazbear's in the hidden room. We have no idea how that's even possible. His current theory is that there may have been something under the building that exploded or imploded. Something along those lines. But we really have no idea. There really does seem to be a whole lot more to Freddy's than we imagined. I don't know about you, but personally, I want nothing to do with any of it. I'm just grateful that me and my kid are alive. You should be grateful to be alive as well. And word of advice, don't try to look further into this. Just stay away. It's for your own good. Goodbye, Jeremy. Ralph.
They're not dead, only broken. I will put them back together. Will you help me?
And with that, we get the true ending and Freddy and the gang comes to a close. What the fuck was the puppet talking about? I have no idea. Ralph told us not to look deeper into this place, and then we find out that we were reading his emails on the computer in the building anyways, proving that we decided to not listen to him. And now it seems that we're gonna be forced to help the fucking goon put some bitches back together. Wonderful. I don't want to, but I also don't want to learn what puppet meat feels like between my buns. But this is where Freddy and the gang comes to a close. Overall, I think Freddy and the Gang is a fine enough fan game. There's not enough to make me go, holy shit, this was fucking awesome. But it also wasn't bad enough for me to shit all over it and lose my mind. I mean, sure, I did lose it a little bit on night 5, but I think that has a lot more to do with pent up frustrations from my post shift 2 video since I wasn't able to get it out there. And this game just triggered some PTSD or some shit. I don't really know. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Or do you think that Freddy and the Gang is actually the most innovative FNAF game ever conceived by man? Let me know in the comments below. In my Welcome to Fredbear's video, I asked you guys what your favorite FNAF Fredbear's game was and why. And my favorite was this one by Raziel1757. They said Welcome to Fredbear's itself. And the reason they gave is actually super interesting, and I honestly agree. The Banshee was easily one of, if not the scariest Five Nights at Freddy's game I had ever played. Amazing atmosphere, wonderful sound design, and even pretty damn good game mechanics to go along with it. I've of course covered it on this channel before, and if you haven't already, you should go give that video a watch after this one. The game we'll be covering today reminds me of Banshee in a lot of ways, easily being another one of the most horrifying FNAF experiences I've ever had. However, with all of the good does come some bad, and while I feel there's nothing super bad about the game we're covering today, I do feel like there are a few things that we need to talk about with some very good tips for future game devs. The game we'll be covering today is Midnight at Star Stage, one of the newest FNAF fan games on the market with a lot of hype behind it. Today, we'll be diving into the game, talking about its story, gameplay mechanics, pros, and cons. So strap in with me as we peek behind the curtains of Midnight at Star Stage. Jumping right into night 1, wasting no time, there's something super obvious I want to get out of the way immediately. This game looks and feels exactly like the FNAF fan game Banshee, like I've already mentioned, and I can't lie, I love it. Absolutely, it's amazing. Banshee's atmosphere was one of the best out of any FNAF fan game I've ever played, and I feel like this game really lives up to that exact feeling. This game is horrifying. To our left and right, we have doors. However, both doors are completely different. The door on our left can only be used for as long as we're holding the switch. However, the door on the right is toggleable, which I actually don't think I've ever seen another FNAF game do. Sure, the original FNAF technically has toggleable doors, but they can't be toggled forever due to the fact that you have power. But there's no power in this game, so I just thought that this was interesting. Of course, we have our cameras, however, there is no camera map. trip. Instead, we have to cycle through the cameras using W and S, which I thought was a little bit weird for controls, but that's not super important at all. This night introduces two threats, so let's talk about them and how terrifying they are. Let's start with the main character, Rocky, one of the most aggressive characters in the entire game. His goal is to get to your office, no shit, but his way of doing so is incredibly intense. Just like Foxy, he will sprint Mach 104 directly at your office, and the scariest part, he can attack either side. The way you'll be able to tell which side he's going to attack is based on which cameras he goes through. If he goes to camera 3, that likely means he will attack your left door. If he goes to camera 6, that likely means he will attack your right. Oh fuck! Now, when it gets to your door, all you have to do is close it. However, like I said, he is incredibly fast. And when he runs to your door, well, yes, he does make a noticeable sound cue. Just take a look at this clip and see how fast he really is. I don't know, dude, there's no fucking sound cue. What? Yeah, he is very fast. And this game is about to be both really fucking hard and really fucking scary at the same time. Strap in, guys, it's about to get crazy. Anyways, moving on to the next threat we have to talk about, that being Rash the Cat. Rash the Cat really goes to show how difficult this game is going to be, and that mainly comes in the form of how much synergy he has with Rocky. Just like Rocky, Rash too can attack both of your doors. However, he is completely silent. Very reminiscent of Springtrap from Banshee, he will creep up silently to either of your doors and stare at you. All you have to do to make him go away is stare back. Oh my fuck! It's a costume! Why is it moving? We're about to be in for an absolutely wild ride, guys. These characters are terrifying, some of the scariest I've ever seen, right up there alongside Banshee. I think it's pretty clear this game drew a lot of inspiration from Banshee, and I think that's great. They nailed the atmosphere, they nailed the character designs, and they even nailed the pressure that Banshee brought, and we're only in night 1. The synergy Rash has with Rocky is mainly with your right door. Since it's toggleable, the thing you'd want to do is keep it closed, since the reaction time you need for Rocky is scary fast. However, since Rash is so quiet and makes no sound cues, it leads to you needing to keep that door open so you can constantly check for him. It's a small detail, but definitely one worth talking about. This game doesn't have a task-based completion system like Banshee, instead having the usual time-based one, which I want to be clear I don't think is an issue. Sure, I love it when games try something new, but there's nothing wrong with sticking to the usual. I'm super excited to see what the rest of this game has to offer, so without further ado, let's move on to night 2. Psych! I lied. First, we have to talk about night 1's post-night minigame, and why I don't give a fuck about it. In it, we have to collect a bunch of bullshit scattered around the building. Boring! I'd rather jump into a glitching wall and get teleported next to a ninja by a campfire. Thank you very much. After teleporting, we touch the fire, and the minigame abruptly ends. Now we can move on to night 2. Night 2 really goes to show how this game is eventually going to have to be played out, as it adds one of the most annoying threats in this entire game. That being Bowie. Bowie acts as this game's eye slut. That's right, I'm coining a new FNAF term, and I expect it to be used very frequently by everyone in the fandom from now on. Eye slut refers to a character archetype that revolves around said character needing to be stared at, and that's the only fucking mechanic. And this game's eye slut is Bowie. Bowie will randomly move around cameras 3, 6, and 9. Some would even say, damn, she fine. If you ever don't glance at Bowie for long enough, he'll appear at your door where no matter what you do, even if you close it, he'll still close the gap between his willy and your butt and start clapping your shit like a crowd after a good performance wanting an encore. The real issue with Bowie isn't even Bowie himself. It's more so due to the fact that it makes Rocky so much scarier. Whereas before, all you really needed to do was watch him so you could tell which side he was going to attack, while Bowie is active, you should be staring at him the entire time. So this leads to you needing to be able to react to Rocky every single time. So if your reflexes are shit, you will be shit at this night and the entire game as a whole. But overall, this night isn't too bad. Now we can move on to the post-night 2 minigame, which is much the same as the first. This time around, we actually play as a different night guard, which is interesting. And this time we're tasked with taking some animatronics to the stage. Boring! I'd rather jump into a glitching wall and get teleported next to a ninja by a campfire. Thank you very much. After teleporting, we touch the fire and the minigame abruptly ends. And now we can move on to night 3. Actually, I lied a bit. I just thought it'd be kind of funny to repeat the ending of the last section since you do the same thing. What I want to talk about is that for some reason during this minigame, the monkey we first see is in the 2D style like everything else. But if you do some exploring, you'll find the other characters, except they'll be in the normal 3D rendered states, which is honestly just super uncanny and creepy. It's cool, it's random, it's unimportant, but I wanted to mention it. Are you guys ready for night 3? I really don't think you are. Like, really ask yourself the question, am I ready to learn about the third night of this game? Dexter's asking me to think about it, so that clearly means I'm about to learn about the most soul-degrading thing of all time. Did you ask yourself the question? Great, let's move on to night 3. Night 3 introduces a certain type of mechanic, a very common mechanic in FNAF games. Almost every single FNAF game has at least one of these, actually. And fun fact, this very mechanic was what spawned the most recent Dexter White song, Nintendo No. Go listen to it. It's on all streaming services, by the way. Is that enough of a hint as to what type of mechanic is slid into my butthole on this night? Well, if it's not, let me help you a bit. This night introduces a fucking monkey. I don't even want to do it the due diligence of saying its stupid fucking name. It's a piece of shit. In fact, it's the same monkey we put on stage in the last minigame. Monkey Dick has his own stage, and thankfully, he's nothing like Bowie, who requires me to stare at him all night. However, he does something arguably worse. Occasionally, at random, throughout the night, he will slam his cymbals together. And now,
I want you to take a solid guess as to what it is we have to do after hearing these cymbals. Really think about it.
what could this so far amazing game do to just really shoot itself in the foot like a soldier trying to get an honorable discharge? I think I've given you enough time to think about it. After Monkey Fuck smashes his cymbals together, he will teleport to a random fucking camera. God damn it, fuck me right in my rear. This night also introduces the ability to flash your cameras. So all you have to do is find the rape ass monkey and flash him to make him go back to his stage. I quite literally have no idea what makes these games unable to come up with something unique. Don't get me wrong, I think this game is fucking amazing, and this find them on the camera mechanic is nowhere near as terribly integrated as some of the other FNAF games I've played, but please, guys, stop doing this. My poor little heart just can't take it anymore. But aside from that, that's all this night adds. Now we can move on to the post-night minigame. In it, we're driving a car right after a beer. We can choose to hit some deer on the road, but the game would really prefer we didn't. Fuck the actual point of the minigame. We all know that there will be a glitch somewhere. And sure enough, at a certain distance, you will see a glitch. Bam down and you'll be teleported to the fire with the ninja. Touch the fire and the minigame comes to a close. I have no idea what this fire could be symbolizing. And yes, by the way, I know that this is most likely not a ninja, but I'm noticing while writing this that in my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black, I actually never found the glitch in the first minigame. So now I'm dreading having to replay the whole game later. But that's future me's problem. And I don't give two fucks about future me. For now, let's move on to night 4. Damn. We're already on to night 4, huh? Shit, we're just busting through this game all willy-nilly style. Well, there's a new threat introduced on this night, and it's honestly, like, not even a problem at all. Something I'm noticing about this game is that while, yes, it's very scary, and that's awesome, the game is also, like, piss easy, which, don't get me wrong, I don't want it to be the hardest thing on earth, but it's like, you know, a little bit too easy. Anyways, moving on to the threat this night introduces. Floppy. Yes, I'm serious. Get it out of your system. I know it's a completely ridiculous name, but that's his name, and we love him just the way he is. And the way he is basically just a fucking statue. Floppy sits directly outside of your right door, and his mechanic is cool at a glance. Floppy is a weeping angel and will only move when your door is closed and you can't see him, so he directly synergizes with both Rocky and Rash. However, if you've seen my playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black, then you'd know that the need to have this door closed at all times isn't really present, as you need the door open at all times to see if Rash is there. So keeping it closed at all times is actually just a pretty bad idea. And it's not even like Floppy moves at an insanely fast rate, because he really doesn't. So for most of the game, it'll be like he's just a fucking decoration. It looks scary and that's cool, but generally speaking, he doesn't really add anything to the gameplay loop, which I do think is very disappointing. I've thought for a bit on how you can make him more interesting without changing his mechanic at all, and I think I have two decent ideas. The first being the one I would personally go with. Really make him a weeping angel and force you to look at him, not just have the door open. This would make him much more threatening, albeit the most annoying thing on earth. The only other way you could make Floppy more threatening is somehow designing a way to make closing his door more needed. Because quite literally, the only time you ever need to close the door is the 2 seconds it takes to make Rocky go away. And that's even if he attacks that side in the first place, which of course isn't always guaranteed. But realistically, the best way to solve this problem is to not even have the problem in the first place and just make Floppy do something else. There's plenty of mechanic ideas that devs could take from the other brilliant fan games that exist. Here's a quick tip for FNAF devs. If a character you add doesn't feel like a new threat you have to actively think about, either don't add that character or find a new mechanic for them. Anyways, after completing the night, we of course get a post-night minigame. In it, we play as a sad fat kid. I actually can't confirm if this kid is sad, but I know that if I was fat, I would probably be sad, so I'm just assuming this kid is the same way. In this minigame, all we have to do is walk from one side of town to the other while avoiding cars on the road that are, for some reason, not stopping for the literal roadblock of a child directly in front of them. At 2 points during this minigame, you can see what appear to be a pair of eyes watching us, but I have no idea what this is actually supposed to mean, and I also don't know what the story of this game could be literally at all. Now, for the glitch, which this time around is completely unobvious. If you get all the way to the end of the map, what you're supposed to do is just touch the edge and you'll be booted to the menu. This is what I did on my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. There's blood leaking out of me, knowing that I'll have to go back and fix this, but whatever. If instead of touching the edge, you instead go all the fucking way back, really getting Tubby his exercise, and touch the edge next to where you started, which by the way shows no indication of being glitched, so this is just bullshit, then you will be teleported to the fire with the ninja, touch the fire, and we can move on to night 5. Night 5 introduces one new threat, and I'm honestly surprised that it does. Very uncommonly do I find FNAF games that consistently add a new threat with every night, and I honestly really appreciate this game for doing so, albeit both this threat and last night's threat are pretty lackluster. But before we talk about the threat this night introduces, we need to talk about this night's phone call, because even though it's by far the shortest one, it easily is the most interesting we've heard so far. The phone guy just tells us that tonight will be our last shift, because the floppy suit almost killed the employee who was inside of it. So that's just based in Riz, I can't even lie. Anyways, on to talking about the threat that this night introduces, that being the fucking mouse that the game didn't tell me the name of, so that's just awesome. Mickey Mouse fuck-ass boy adds a mechanic that honestly might as well not even exist. I struggle to figure out whether I think the mouse's mechanic or Floppy's mechanic is more worthless to the gameplay loop. Dicky Mouse will randomly appear on whichever camera you're looking at. When he does, you won't be able to switch between cameras. To make him go away, all you have to do is flash the camera. So just press space and he goes away. That's literally it. He can only appear on the camera you're looking at, so it's not like you're ever going to miss him either. And he's also very forgiving with the amount of time you have to flash him. So really, if you die to this guy, you're just retarded or dead at your keyboard. I really wish I had more to talk about with these mechanics. Sure, I could sit here and complain and bitch and whine and say the mechanics make me want to do something to my penis that will damage it beyond recognition. But I mean, really, just look at the gameplay between night 3 and 5. Tell me if you see much of a difference. Spoiler alert, you won't. In fact, Let's actually play a game real quick. Right here, I'm showing you 2 clips from my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. One of them is footage from night 3, and the other is footage of night 5. I want you to take a guess at which video is which. I'll give you a bit. Did you make your guess? Well, fuck you, because both of these clips are night 5. That's how similar they are. So while yes, it's cool that this game is adding more animatronics, I just really wish they'd do something that mattered to the gameplay loop, but they just don't. Anyways, after completing night 5, we don't get a minigame in the same way we usually do. Instead, we get a cutscene. A child is talking to his father. At some point, the child leaves and the father spots one of the mascots and goes to talk to it. Upon interacting with the fucking mouse, we get jump scared and he asks the dad if he needs anything, and the dad says no. So like, why the fuck did you even go up and talk to him in the first place? Either way, with that, night 5 comes to an end. Night 6 is not what I expected at all. Discover it for yourself. Now you see, I don't like that you're saying it like that. What do you mean discover it for myself? Easily being the most interesting night throughout the game, albeit still incredibly easy. Night 6 is a boss fight night with this fucking thing. What the fuck is that? Whoa! What the fuck? The fuck was that? Tell me that wasn't the coolest and most terrifying thing you've ever seen in your life. So yeah, this is the final boss of the game. Do I have a reason as to why it looks like this or what lore significance it has? Literally fucking no. Not at all, but who cares because he looks fucking sick. The way he works is incredibly easy. He can attack both doors. He works pretty much entirely off sound cues. He will be moaning throughout the entire night, which I will add is very gross, but I guess that's just what he's into, so I'm not gonna kink shame the poor guy. Whenever he moans, that tells you that he's moved. If you ever see him at your left door, all you have to do is hold the door closed. He will begin banging on it, so just make sure you hold it closed until he stops. If it wasn't obvious, all of the other characters aren't activated on this night, so you don't really have to worry. Now, when he attacks your right door, you'll have to do something just a little bit different. You still have to close the door, but for some reason, he really doesn't like it when your computer is on while he's on the right side. Very weird, but we'll listen. So when you see him on the right side, all we have to do is close the door and then turn our computer off and he'll go away. Now, we have to talk about how you actually beat this night, since it's not just as easy as holding off until 6 a.m. like the rest of the nights have been. This is a boss fight night, and this time you're actually fighting a boss. When he moans, it's much more likely for him to just switch cameras than it is for him to appear at your door. He is a find them on the camera character. However, he's the only character in the night, so it's not a big deal. You will have to constantly track him on the cameras and spam your camera flash on him to deal damage. Flashing makes your system crash, so get ready to deal with rebooting your cameras constantly. Deal enough damage on the cameras, and this final night will come to a close. However, depending on if you were able to collect all of the fires next to the ninjas in the minigame will determine which ending you get after completing this night. After winning, the creature will force his way into your office like Graveyard Shift at Freddy's and kill you, wherein you get the bad ending. But who cares about the bad ending? The interesting ending comes in the form of collecting all of the fires from the minigames. Now, I'm not kidding about this. I promise. After you beat the night, the creature still kills you. However, the fire slowly rises from the bottom of the screen, and you're spit into a fucking Undertale boss fight with the creature. What the fuck am I playing right now? I'm dead serious. This is not edited. This actually happens in the game. You have to dodge a plethora of attacks, and every once in a while, you'll get the chance to attack. Attack 4 times and it'll fucking die, rewarding us with the good ending, which, by the way, is no different from the bad ending. There's no extra story revealed or a cutscene. It's just a boss fight and then an end screen. There's only one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that's a weird minigame you can find hidden in the extras menu. In it, you play as this weird white statue thing. The only thing you can do is find a newspaper clipping on the floor talking about some missing children. That's literally it. I have no idea why this is here. I have no idea what missing children had to do with this game. I failed to pick up on pretty much any lore this game has thrown out, if there was any at all. But for all of you little theorists, have fun with that information. But with that, that's all Midnight at Star Stage has to offer. Overall, I think this game was terrifying. However, I feel like this game was heavily inspired by Banshee. And it almost feels like the dev wanted to make Banshee, but didn't actually fully think about the mechanics of how the game would work. Don't get me wrong, this game looks amazing and it plays well, but the synergies with characters really just aren't there. And I have no idea what the fuck the Undertale boss fight was about, but it was pretty cool. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think Midnight at Star Stage is actually just like Banshee and is almost more perfect in some ways? Let me know in the comments below. In my 5 Nights at Marcus video, I asked you guys what you think is the worst FNAF series ever made. And my favorite answer was everybody who said Jolly, because I think it's pretty obvious that I heavily agree with that statement. It's pretty normal for me to get suggestions for games to play, and especially so when a new FNAF fan game gets released. However, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Never throughout my entire YouTube career has a game been requested as frequently as the one we'll be covering today, and for a good reason. The game we'll be covering today is Forgotten at Fredbear's, the latest and greatest FNAF fan game in this ever-growing genre. Strap in, everybody. This game has a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and you will soon see why it's so hyped up. However, I feel it does have one big downside, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Before we can start talking about what this game has to offer in terms of an actual gameplay loop, we first have to talk about what happens before the game even begins, that being the opening cutscene.
I've done security work before, Mr. Afton. But this, the hours, the pay, it doesn't add up. Why me? You are reliable, John. That's all I need. A reliable man who does his job. The previous night guards will tell you everything you need to know. Do not concern yourself with the rest.
You always knew how to cover your tracks, didn't you, William? But I know what you've done. I've always known. It's not revenge. It's justice. Justice for her. I won't let her be forgotten.
Alright, so already we've got a lot to unpack. To start, I'm assuming that we'll be playing as the guy William was talking to, John. William is hiring a new guard, but as you can already tell by the sinister look on his face, he clearly has some ulterior motives. Henry is pretty pissed, and should be. William did kill his daughter after all, but I wonder if there's any proof of that murder actually happening. Afterwards, we're booted into an 8-bit minigame with a beautiful art style. Holy shit, this pixel art and animation is phenomenal. In it, we play as Evan, William's son, the crying child. However, instead of Evan getting bullied by the teenagers, Evan witnesses Charlotte being bullied by them instead. They push her outside into the freezing rain and Evan follows after her, only to watch William, his father, approach her and kill her in the alley. Evan runs back inside to Henry, Charlotte's father, and tells him what he saw. During their conversation, we can see the security puppet bolt past them in the direction of the exit door Charlotte got pushed out of, and this minigame comes to a close. So wow, this early in the game and we already saw the death of the first child. Should be kind of crazy out here, I suppose. Anyways, moving on to talking about Night 1 and what this game really has to offer. The first thing I want to point out is how beautiful this game looks, especially when it comes to lighting. The designers of this game absolutely nailed the atmosphere of this game, and trust me, it only gets better the further down the rabbit hole we fall. The controls of this game are really a masterpiece, I can't lie. In my FNAF Rewritten 87 video, I mentioned how much I hated the way the mouse controlled, and how it was probably my biggest issue with the game. I cannot make the same complaint about Forgotten at Fredbear's. This just might be the most satisfying and responsive mouse controls I've ever felt while playing a FNAF game before. You wouldn't think you'd really notice a difference between FNAF games, but when you play as many as I do, it will be something you pick up on really quickly, and I really appreciate the devs of this game for nailing this so perfectly. Anyways, what about the tools at our disposal? Well, this game keeps it pretty simple. In our office, we have 2 entrances, I think. I know the door to our left is an entrance, but I'm also pretty sure that this big blurry thing in front of us is also a door, and this is corroborated by the way the camera map is set up as well. You can walk up to the door on your left, but just doing so will make it seem like it doesn't do anything at all. It will become very apparent what this door does once we start talking about one of the threats this night introduces. Of course, this game also has a camera system, as I already mentioned, and it comes equipped with several speakers to play music over. I'm sure you can guess where this is going. Before we start talking about threats, I think we should talk about this night's phone call and why I feel it's so weird. There are actually 2 phone guys, and each of their names are Joe, referring to themselves as Joe A and Joe M. They mention what we'll be doing throughout the night, but who cares about that? They also mentioned the disappearance of Charlotte and how it affected Henry. Apparently, now he's just hiding out in the basement. The Joes said they snuck into the basement to see him, but were caught and thrown onto the day shift, which is why we're on the night shift now. Very, very interesting and intriguing stuff. And if we don't figure out what's down there, I think I might tear my foreskin off. I think I should also make it clear that Henry is under the impression that William is on the night shift, so it appears William hiring us is a type of cover-up for something. Maybe that's why he looked so sinister. So, time to talk about the 2 threats this night introduces. To begin, we'll talk about Spring Bonnie. Another quick thing I want to mention is the character designs these animatronics have. They all look super sleek, but Jesus Christ, are they uncanny and terrifying looking. If I were a kid coming to these restaurants, I don't think I'd ever want to come back. These things are scary as fuck. Anyways, what does Spring Bonnie do? Well, he makes use of that left door I mentioned earlier. He will make his way around the cameras and to said door. He will then literally push it open, and I think you'll enjoy watching what you have to do for yourself next. Oh my god! What the fuck? Yo, that's fucked up. That's so fucked up that you just did that to me. Tell me that's not the coolest fucking thing you've ever seen. They're straight up tossing in some after hours at Cody's level timing shit, and I'm all for it. It really adds to the stress and tension that the actual employee would be feeling during this moment. I think it adds so much to the atmosphere and really makes it feel like you're part of the experience. The next threat this night introduces is the security puppet, easily one of the most uncomfortable looking characters to come out of this game. The way she works is very simple, but that doesn't make her mechanic stop me from blowing my foreskin up like a balloon and making some balloon animals out of it. The puppet will come out of the prize corner and attempt to get to your office. However, instead of having a bullshit music box, she instead is just attracted to the sound of music. Most of the cameras on the map have a music button I mentioned earlier. If you hold down one of these buttons, music will begin to play. However, only so much music can be played on each camera. You'll be able to see the music draining on the button, so you'll have to use it sparingly. If you play the music on a camera adjacent to the camera the puppet is on, the puppet will be dragged into that camera. Continue doing this to pull the puppet away from your office, and make sure you're keeping track of how much boof juice is in your music boxes, and you'll be a-okay. Something you'll notice is that this night ends at 3 a.m. I thought that was really weird, but guess what? We're not even close to being done talking about the first night, as we're thrown into a repair minigame after completing the main part of that night. In this vent area, there are 4 vents, 1 on each side of you. Ignore how we even got to this position. I'm assuming we just climbed through one of the vents possibly. The goal of this minigame is to repair each of the 4 vents by doing a different minigame for each. But before we talk about these minigames, let's talk about the 2 threats we'll have to deal with at the same time. The first and most annoying threat is Balloon Boy, because of fucking course it is. He can come through 3 of the 4 vents. You'll notice one of the vents has a door you can close on it. This vent will be reserved for the other character this night introduces, so Balloon Boy can travel through the other 3. Balloon Bitch will be laughing constantly to inform you as to which vent he is going to try and come through. Once he gets close, simply flash your light at him and he'll dive back into the hellhole he came from. The other threat in this minigame is Mangle. Mangle works in much the same way as Balloon Boy, except she can only attack the vent that has the door. She makes sound cues as well, and when the sound cue she makes is very loud, that's how you know she's about to attack. Quickly turn to her vent and hold the vent closed. Once she stops banging on it, you're free to let go and continue fixing the vents. Speaking of fixing vents, how exactly do you do that? Very simple. Just kidding, each vent has a different minigame. The first vent will have you match several symbols multiple times over. This minigame is obviously super simple, but do keep in mind you will be being attacked by two dickheads at the same time. Once you complete this minigame enough, you can move on to the next. The next minigame has you playing Simon Says. Easily the most frustrating of the 4 minigames for one main reason. You cannot drop the maintenance panel until the system has stopped showing you the Simon Says panels. So, if you hear Mangle about to rape your shit, you'll have to wait until the panel very slowly shows you all 5 squares you have to memorize before you can deal with her. You then have to hope to God you remember the pattern as you turn back, because if you fuck up, your repair percentage will drop and you'll be stuck doing this minigame for even longer. The next minigame is Simple Sugar. Every few seconds, a letter will appear. All you have to do is press that letter on your keyboard. Do this enough times, and we can talk about the final minigame. The final minigame blows a bit of dick. You will have 2 bars with 2 small rectangles at random points on them. Clicking and holding a bar will make it start to fill up. If you let go, the bar will slowly decrease. You have to get both bars to be inside of their small rectangles at the same time, and do this several times for the minigame to end. This isn't by any means a difficult minigame, it just makes my dick hurt and my blood pressure rise. But if you can complete all 4 minigames, Night 1 will officially be completed. That's right, that was all only Night 1. Hooray! Hooray!
I let you take the night shift. I thought the other guards were too curious. I told you I trusted you to handle things. So go ahead, play a little card. But I know what you did, and I'll be the one who will deal with you. Our creations will be your undoing. I know the truth, that I won't let you live after what you did to my girl. I know what you are capable of. I'm sorry, old friend.
Well, would you look at that? Henry appears to be tampering with the animatronics to make them more hostile to attack William, since obviously Henry is aware that he killed his daughter. However, what Henry doesn't know is that William isn't actually working the night shift like he said he was. William is 3 steps ahead. He knew Henry would do something like this, so he lied to Henry that he'd be taking the night shift and hired us in his place. This is actually some really cool light Yagami type storytelling. I actually really like it. Now, moving on to Night 2, we have the night segment to talk about, and the new threat that this night introduces. The little whiny, annoying bitch himself, Balloon Boy. Balloon Boy's mechanics are honestly pretty simple. You just need to have some decent reaction time. Balloon Boy will move around the cameras at complete random, so tracking him just doesn't even matter at all. At random times, he will enter one of your 2 vents. A very loud, obvious sound cue will play when he does so. A few seconds after you hear the sound cue, he will drop down from any of the 2 vents on your office ceiling. All you have to do is click whichever vent he's in, but you do have to be very fast since you will not have a lot of time to click on him. Once you click him, he'll crawl back into the vent like the disgusting little fucking nematode he is, and then his cycle will repeat. In all honesty, I like Balloon Boy's mechanic. Reaction-based mechanics are always something I'll favor since it's just something I feel I'm better at. However, I do have a complaint with the response of this mechanic. Let's use Spring Bonnie as an example. When you properly hit a timing during Spring Bonnie's attack, there is a visual indicator that you did so. Obviously, that being Spring Bonnie recoiling from you slamming on the door. This gives the user positive reinforcement that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing properly. Visual indicators are always very important things to have in your games for responses to the player's actions to let them know that the actions they are performing are intended. Balloon Boy has 0 visual indication that you are dealing with him. Not only does this make dealing with him feel super unsatisfying every time you do it, but it can also be very confusing when you're first learning the mechanic. Let me give you the most basic example of a visual response indicator for those of you that don't want to do anything fancy. When you hover over the door to your office, office, your mouse changes to this sprite to indicate that yes, this is something that can be interacted with. Even this is enough of an indicator to let the player know what they should and shouldn't be trying to interact with. When Balloon Boy drops down from your vent, when you hover over the vent, not even this mouse change is present. Even though you are supposed to click on the vent, they give no visual indicator that you're supposed to do so. And when you do click on the vent, nothing seems to happen, as Balloon Boy will finish out his animation before closing the vent behind him and leaving. So when you click it, it literally feels like nothing happened at all. Is this a nitpick? Of course it is. However, I feel it's these little details that matter the most. When small things like UI and visual indicators are done properly, you won't even realize they're done properly at all, but you will realize when they're done poorly. Anyways, enough talking about that. Now it's time to talk about this night's post-night section, wherein instead of repairing the vents, this time around we're repairing Fredbear. This section is miles easier than the last. All we have to do is take Fredbear's head off, which you have to do very slowly or he will give you a rim job, which I'm personally just not a fan of. Afterwards, you'll have to remove his eyes. However, you can only remove them while they're moving, or else he'll see you and
Playing your butt like a sandbox.
After that, get replacement eyes and put them and his head back on. Next, open his chest and do an Among Us wire and electrical task on his back. They even put symbols for all my other brothers who are colorblind, which I really appreciate. Put his chest back on and there's only one thing left to do. Run some diagnostics like we're Dr. House. Spoiler alert, it's not lupus. These are kind of like the salvage mini games from Pizzeria Simulator. You'll have to play some sounds that correlate to each of Fredbear's body parts. If at any point he starts twitching like a drug addict, stop holding the button, or he'll hold your butt and squeeze way too hard for your liking. After you finish that, night 2 is complete and we move on to night 3, but not before seeing something a little interesting on our screen.
Oh shit, we got a crying bitch, dude. Get your ass up. Yeah, that's right. Get your ass up. He's home again. Did you hear the door, Evan? You saw her, didn't you? Charlie, bleeding. I didn't mean to see. I just wanted to check up on her. But you did see. You saw what he really is. He wears a smile in the daylight, but you know. You didn't forget. I don't want to remember. Too late. You know what happened to your sister, Evan? She's at Mom's. She's just visiting. No, she's not. Do you really think you're safe here with him? Lie still tonight. Don't speak. For next time, he'll open the door. No. Please don't be him. Oh. Evan, there you are, bud. Wanted to check on you. Your birthday's coming up. Got something really special planned. Yeah, sure. Thanks. Been quiet lately. Everything okay? Just tired. Alright. Get some rest then. He's lying. You saw it. Charlotte. The alley. His hands. Henry's gone. We don't know why. You can't let him get away with this, Evan. Stop. Stop talking. You remember. And he can't know that. Ooh, shit.
Night 3 only introduces one new threat, and I honestly don't feel like they're that much of an issue. But before we talk about that new threat, we need to talk about the insane phone call we got to hear. Joe A mentions that Henry was working on something that would make the animatronics be able to be controlled remotely, and they heard about it right after we noticed that Fredbear was tampered with, which was seen at the end of the post-Night 2 repair section. When Joe A mentions this, Joe M gets incredibly angry, and we hear the following crash out of epic proportions.
Joe! What the hell are you going on about? That's enough! Focus on the job, not on things that don't concern us.
Right. Sorry about that. I don't know. With Henry still missing it all, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what was he really up to? And there's the need for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opening up later this year.
Joe, I said that's enough! We're not here to talk about that. Stick to the script. We're here to help him survive, not gossip like old ladies. Or do you want him to end up like the others?
No, of course not. I just...
So, clearly they both are aware of something we're not. And from this point forward, Joe M is going to be a character I'm not a super big fan of in the slightest. But we can talk more about Joe M later. For now, let's talk about the new threat this night introduces. That new threat being Foxy, which turns out it was not Mangle in the vent, it was just Foxy, but he was all mangled. So it was basically fucking Mangle. Foxy is a character I was originally concerned was going to be a big pain in the dick, but again, I actually don't think that it's that big of a deal at all. Foxy is obviously in Pirate's Cove on stage. Every so often, you will be able to see him leaning forward, signifying he's about to sprint to your office like Tyson Gay and dig inside you like Scottie Pippins. When you see him leaning forward like this, all you have to do is close the curtains remotely for a bit until he calms down, then reopen them. You may be wondering, Dexter, why don't we just keep the curtains closed the entire night? That's a very good question, and is actually the question I had when playing this night. But turns out, Foxy does not like it at all when the curtain is closed. And if it happens to be closed for too long, he'll grab the curtains with his butt cheeks and rip the bitches open to force his way to your office. And I think we can all agree that that is a fate we don't want to have happen. What I personally found was the best strategy as of now was to force pull the puppet to Foxy's camera and just camp the cameras constantly. Since there's no power, I don't have to worry about it. And Spring Bonnie and Balloon Boy make sound cues when they attack, so that made it really easy to know when I needed to drop the cameras. Eventually, the music box in Pirate's Cove would run out, and when it did, I'd just drag the puppet to the prize corner and keep him there for the remainder of the night. If you recall, each night only goes until 3 AM, so this actually makes it very, very easy to conserve your music boxes. I just really hope that the puppet doesn't get ass-clenchingly fast by the end of this game. Of course, after we reach 3 AM, we can move on to the post-night section, which has us restocking a supply closet, with Joe M on the phone with us, talking it through. It's during this section where we begin to hear how much of an asshole Joe M really is, as throughout this section, as he's explaining what to do, the tone in his voice is very clearly aggressive.
The closet light. And don't move.
Gotcha.
Not even a single twitch. Got it?
I got it. Damn, bitch.
Let's stock the shelves fast and clean.
It's the goal, asshole. Anyways, on to what we actually have to do during this section. Throughout it, we will get deliveries of boxes outside of the closet door, consisting of things like duct tape, paper towel, tissues, and some other shit as well. Joe M will tell us the very oddly specific places on the shelf where we need to place each item. Which, by the way, I don't know why where we place things is so goddamn important, but clearly to Joe M it is. Of course, that's not all we have to do, as Fredbear and Spring Bonnie will be trying to enter our insides, like those fucked up little crack addicts who decide diving face first into a cave called Tight Squeeze Death Trap that has a survival rate of 0%, knowing damn well they have a wife and 3 kids back at home. Each character behaves slightly differently and will require a different form of defense. If you ever see Spring Bonnie at your door, all you have to do is hold your flashlight on his face until he runs away. Fredbear is a little different. If you see him at your door, you have to shut the light off to the closet and hold completely still until you hear his big fat feet waddling away. Then you can turn the light back on and continue. After you stock every item and fill the shelves up, Joe M abruptly hangs up on us. No goodbye.
Closet stocked. You're done.
Good. Why is he such a dude? Why is he such a dickhead? I have no idea what got into him. He's acting like we're the ones who brought up Henry's new experiment on the phone. It's not my problem, asshole. Anyways, on to night 4.
I don't care. Take care of Joe A. He's gonna get us all in trouble. Hey, champ. You like the yellow ones or the red ones better? You know, I didn't get a party like this when I was your age. Back then, we didn't have animatronics singing our name.
I don't want them to sing to me.
Come on, you'll love it. All your friends will be here. It's going to be perfect.
Do I have to go?
It's only a few more days.
Evan clearly is not a fan of the restaurant. I wonder why. Considering what he saw, there's not so much to talk about in the night section of Night 4. However, there are two things I still want to mention. The first being the absence of Joe A. Obviously, in that cutscene, William says to get rid of him, and Joe M on the phone call says we won't be seeing him again. He also continues being an asshole throughout the call as well, and ends the call abruptly. No goodbye, dick. Anyways, the second thing I want to talk about is obviously the threat this night introduces. The man, the myth, the fat bastard himself, Fredbear. In all honesty, I think Fredbear is a pretty disappointing character in this game, as he is quite literally pretty much just Balloon Boy. Fredbear will wander through your cameras and eventually make his way to the two big doors in front of you in your office. When he walks through these doors, all you have to do is stare at him and not move. After a few seconds and some hallucinations saying he hurt us, Fredbear will exit the office. Literally just Balloon Boy with less steps, because you don't even have to click on him. But in all honesty, I think this game shines way more in the post-night minigames rather than the actual night segments, which I actually think is pretty cool. So speaking of, what happens during Night 4's post-night minigame? Well, we actually get to hear from Joe A again. He begins his message by saying if we're hearing him now, then that means something terrible happened to him. So basically, somebody murked my homeboy, and I'm gonna figure out who it is. Mark my words, when I do, I'm gonna grab their balls and squeeze them so hard they burst into little pieces, bursting his 2 balls into 38 tiny balls. Don't play with me. In this minigame, we get to speak directly to the puppet. Joe A tells us that we should never repeat to anyone what the puppet is about to say to us. There are some pre-selected questions that we'll have to ask her, and through her answers, we learn that she's Charlotte, the girl William killed in the alley, and the girl that Evan found, Henry's daughter. She mentions William, Henry, and the basement that she says nobody was supposed to enter. However, Henry has been in the basement a lot recently, obviously working on whatever he's doing to kill William. The puppet tells us that she has the key and ends the minigame by giving it to us, telling me that the final minigame we'll play will take place in that basement. However, this minigame isn't just talking to the puppet, as there are two major threats we have to deal with while doing so. Obviously, one of them is the puppet herself. While she's having the conversation with us, Joe A told us that she's very unstable. So if she ever starts to quiver in her boots, we'll have to use the music box to calm her down. The second threat during this minigame is Foxy. He will eventually wander into the prize corner with us, attempting to lick up the nape of our neck. He has several positions he can be seen in. If at any point he starts twitching like a drug addict, you'll have to pull the spring lock override switch to reset him. However, resetting him will also cause the puppet to go crazy mode, and you'll have to immediately use the music box to calm her down again. After we get the key from Charlotte, we can move on to Night 5. Speaking of night, there is a metric fuck ton to talk about, so let's waste no time. To start, the night section is just a harder version of Night 4, so we can completely skip over that as it's not interesting at all. However, the post-night minigame is something crazy.
These machines were meant to be the future, William. The start of something new. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. A place where children can laugh again. A place where you and I could have built something good.
And just like that, we've entered the basement where the original 4 animatronics are present and ready to eat our bussy. This minigame feels very reminiscent of Night 1's post-night vent minigame, where we have 4 different tasks to complete while being attacked. Each task we have to complete relates to one of the characters. Each has a different task we have to perform, while that task's respective character tries to insert itself inside of us. To start, let's begin with the main office area. There is a notepad on our desk that explains in detail how to deal with each character, but I'll be doing that for you, so we're going to ignore that part. What is important is this code on the bottom line, which gives us a termination code for each animatronic. After completing their task, we'll have to type this code into the computer to disengage them. While in the office, each animatronic has the chance to appear. When they do, just hide under the desk until they go away. Alright, so let's talk about Bonnie's minigame first. In it, there are several wires like it's Among Us. While looking at the panel, every century it feels like a symbol will appear on a small screen. You then have to cut the wire that shares that symbol. Cut the wrong one and Bonnie has a field day with you. Also, Bonnie is fat as shit. Occasionally, Bonnie will appear in the room with you. When he does, all you have to do is stare at him and hold your flashlight in his eyes. blinding him like when I was a kid and would stare at the sun for too long, or when I'd put the flashlight right up to my eyeball and turn it on. After you cut all the wires and disable him on the computer, we can move on to Chica.
But I know what you did. To her. To Charlie. You stood there and you watched the light go out of her eyes, didn't you? My little girl. And you took her from me. I thought if I gave these machines a greater purpose, if I made them strong enough, smart enough, maybe they could end you. Maybe they could give her peace.
Chica's tasks requires you to wait for 300 years for a fuck ton of switches to light up in a specific order, flicking them on after they light up. Meanwhile, Chica will slowly be approaching you through the hallway. When she gets close, all you have to do is close the door until she leaves. Once you've flipped every switch and disabled her on the computer, it's time to move on to Foxy.
Fredbear wasn't enough. Neither were the others upstairs. You slipped through again, like you always do. So I turned to the prototypes. Stronger, smarter, obedient only to me. Never to you.
Foxy's minigame is by far the best in terms of it not taking 6,000 light years to complete. All you have to do is spin this crank in a circle more than I throw my ass in a circle when I play a FNAF game with no power and no music box. While you do this, Foxy will slowly appear out from behind the curtains. All you have to do is occasionally pull them closed and he won't be able to get you. Terminate him on the PC and we can move on to Freddy.
I rewrote their code, set their purpose. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica. The ones buried down here. They were meant for you, William. To tear you apart, piece by piece, until nothing is left.
Freddy makes me want to die, easily being the most annoying character in this entire minigame. All you have to do is hold down a lever while a meter very painstakingly slowly fills up. Occasionally, Freddy will enter the room, and all you have to do is stare at him and not move until he goes away. The only problem with this section of this minigame is that it literally takes like 5 fucking minutes. It's ridiculous. Of course, terminate him on the computer, and the night is over, giving us this final, insane cutscene. It's a pretty long one, but you're not going to want to miss it.
I can't forgive you. Not for Charlie. Not for Elizabeth. Not for any of them. I don't know how, but you seem to destroy everything you touch. I want you to remember this. Remember what you stole. Because everything I've built since that night has been for her. You will die here, William. And you will suffer.
Thank you for getting rid of them for me. But I can't let you walk out of here with all that, John. Nothing personal.
It's Evan's birthday, and all of the kids and William are standing around us. Henry enters and mentions he needs to talk to William. William, being in the spring Bonnie costume at the time, agrees and they head into the back room. Evan goes to follow them, but Michael drags him to Fredbear to do exactly what you'd think. I'll let the rest of the cutscene speak for itself, because it is truly one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Well, look who finally decided to come home. You're here about Charlie. Of course you are. Why'd you do it? You really don't know. It wasn't just about her. It was about you. What? You had everything. The money, the awards, your name on every goddamn news article. Henry, Emily, the
teachings behind Fredbear's. You were the face of the future. I was just the man behind the curtain, building your dreams. You had a wife who loved you, kids who adored you, and Charlie. God, she looked at you as if you hung the stars. Meanwhile, my wife left. Michael hated me. Evan feared me. And Elizabeth got too close to one of my creations, and I just let it happen. Because that's what I do, Henry. Everything I build turns to rot. But you kept building a dream. So I tore it down. I took something you'd never get back. Not because I had to, but because I could. I wanted you to wake up like I do, empty.
Come on, give him a big old birthday kiss.
Oh, he's gonna cry again. She was just a child. Evan.
Holy shit. William went to save his child from Fredbear, but Henry remotely causes the spring lock failure while William was out in the open in front of everyone, in front of his 2 children. The spring lock failure happens in public where there are plenty of people to see, and as far as I can tell, it's not even confirmed if the bite happens. This was easily the most shocking cutscene I've ever seen from any FNAF game, and you can see my reaction to it over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Finally, we see the locked FNAF 4 box. We get the bad ending. There's something we're missing. And don't worry, we're going to get it. Throughout this game, several crumpled notes can be found in various locations. Collecting all 6 of them will allow us to see what's inside of the box. So let's go over each location where you can find them. The first page is on night 1. It'll be directly on your desk. It reads,
Evan keeps crying every night. He says he's seeing things moving at Fredbear's when nobody's there. Ever since Charlie went missing, he's been acting weird.
The second page is found inside of one of the vents during the post-night 1 minigame. However, it doesn't appear immediately. You will have to wait for a little bit before it'll actually show up, which is a bit weird. Regardless, it reads,
It's kind of funny how that balloon boy animatronic looks like me when I was little. I think Dad's trying to mess with me. He said it's a reminder of his favorite troublemaker.
The third note can be found on the floor of the back room during the Repair Fredbear minigame. It reads,
Henry hasn't shown up in a while. When I asked Dad, he started acting mysterious again. Reminds me of when Mom took Liz and left. Dad won't even talk about it.
The fourth page is found during the stockpiling shelves minigame. After stocking the pizza boxes and the paper towel rolls, in the hallway you'll be able to find it on the floor. It reads,
The new Freddy's place is supposed to have a Pirate Foxy animatronic. I told Dad that one's gonna be my favorite.
The fifth page is found during the Speaking to the Puppet minigame. If you turn around where Foxy stands, you'll be able to see it on the shelf. It reads,
My favorite employee, Joe A, got fired today. Kinda sucks. He was pretty cool. Used to sneak me extra tokens when Dad wasn't around. At least we still have the other Joe, but he's been acting weird lately.
The final note is found in the basement night. If you go to Chica's room, on a chair next to the wall is where the note lays. It reads,
Me and the guys are planning something for Evan's birthday.
We're gonna make him see that Fredbear's isn't scary. He needs to toughen up. Through these notes, it's very obvious that they were all written by Michael Afton. And that last note is especially eerie, confirming that the act that ends up getting Evan killed was premeditated. Now granted, clearly from this note we see they weren't trying to harm him, and it's framed in this game that Michael actually really cares about Evan and wants him to be tougher and not so scared of Fredbear's like we know he is. And nothing confirms this more than the true ending. After collecting all 6 notes, we'll be able to open the FNAF 4 box, and we get to hear from Michael himself, now completely alone with no family left.
Evan, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm so sorry. I didn't think you would go that far. I didn't think that you were always scared of that place, and I made it worse. I thought maybe you'd laugh, or at least see it wasn't real. Dad's gone. Right after it happened, his body disappeared, just vanished. Now it's just me. I didn't mean to hurt you, Evan. I didn't mean to scare you. I just wanted you to stop crying. To stop being afraid. But I messed up. I'm gonna fix it. I don't know how yet, but I will. I'll stay here. I will put you back together, and then I'm gonna go find him. I'm going to go find Dad, wherever he is. I don't care how long it takes. Evan, just don't leave me too.
So, here we learn what will motivate Michael to do what he did in the first 2 Click Team games. After the Springlock failure, William's body disappeared, implying that, as he always says, he always comes back. Michael sets out on his quest to find his father, and Forgotten at Fredbear's comes to a close. Overall, I think Forgotten at Fredbear's is an insanely good retelling of the origin story of what started all the conflict in Five Nights at Freddy's. It's easy to follow, yet there are several little things you can pick up on early in the game that hint towards what's going to happen, and I love that. I do think that the night section gameplay mechanics are pretty weak, and I do believe that the post-night sections are where this game truly shines. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think this game doesn't compare to the other newer FNAF fan games? Let me know in the comments below. In my Chica's Party World Rebaked video, I asked you guys what FNAF fan game you'd like to see get a sequel, and my favorite answer was this one by FaZe Rings. They said After Hours at Cody's, and I agree. I would love to get another Cody's game. The first one was so innovative and tried a bunch of fun things. I would love to see another entry in the series. Asset dumping. The art of using random art from around the internet as all of your assets in a game. Seen with games like Getting Over It, Yandere Simulator, and plenty more. Five Nights at Freddy's games have their fair share of asset dumping as well. Five Nights at Wario's, One Night at Chica's Magic Rainbow, and of course, the very popular One Night at Frogger's. Usually seen as a very lazy way of creating art for your game, mainly because the creator isn't actually creating any art at all, but not all asset dumps are bad, and in its own way, they're an art form themselves, if you can build your environments properly. The game we'll be covering today is an asset dump fan game, and it's honestly become my favorite I've ever played. Today, we'll be talking about Late Shift at Nintendo World, the most stressful FNAF game I've ever played. Strap in, because I promise you, despite what it looks like, there's so much to talk about. So let's drag our balls into Night 1. Night 1, where it all begins, and where you might already become overwhelmed by the amount of possible things this game is about to throw at you. To start, I love the visual style of this game. While yes, it is just the typical asset dump, There are so many references stuffed into this game, it's amazing. And on top of that, the space in each room and camera is filled up so nicely. It's cluttered, but not so much so to the point that my eyes melt out of my skull. Anyways, before we start talking about the whopping 3 threats this night introduces, let's talk about the tools at our disposal and the locations we can travel to. Locations? What does that mean, Dexter? Well, a location is a place you can go, you fucking moron. The first location is obviously your office. You'll see you have a large hallway in front of you and of course your cameras. Your cameras are pretty basic, except for the fact that they're dark as fuck. So we've been equipped with a camera flashlight. The way this flashlight works really makes me want to smother an owl. Every time you use it, only certain cameras will be lit up, since some cameras are outside where the flashlight doesn't reach. The camera light will only stay on for so long before shutting off, and making you wait for a cooldown to be able to turn it on again. Thankfully, the cameras aren't completely pitch black, so my balls get to stay attached to my body for another day. Now, let's talk about the second area you can go to, the outside fence area. Turning around, you'll find a large electric fence. You can tell it's an electric fence because it tells you so, which is very kind. You can hold down a button to charge up the electric fence, and when it charges, the fence will be shocked. Pretty sure that's not how an electric fence works, but to each their own, I suppose. And finally, the last place you can travel is the back shed. The only thing you can do here is hold the door to lock it. While that may seem a bit eerie and intimidating, you'd be right. It really is. But worry not, I'll cover why this place is so important in a little bit. With all of that out of the way, we can talk about the 3 threats this night introduces. Let's start with the main attraction himself, Mario. Mario is disgusting. Literally, look at this model. What the fuck is this thing? Ew. Dude, that thing is fucking nasty. Anyways, now that we're done pointing and laughing at him, what does he do? Mario will work his way to your office through 3 cameras. On each of these cameras, above your light button, you'll notice a music button also appears. If you ever see Mario on one of these cameras, simply press the music button and he will be pushed back 1 camera. Note that he won't be pushed all the way back to his starting camera. So if he travels through multiple cameras, you'll have to follow the cameras pushing him back 1 by 1. Very simple character. As long as you're constantly watching him, which you probably will be, he really shouldn't be an issue. The second threat this night introduces is Mario's taller, skinnier, and much more fuckable brother, Luigi. I'd let his mustache tickle my taint. What? Anyways, Luigi makes use of that spooky little back shed we were talking about earlier. Luigi will appear on camera 9, which connects directly to the hallway in front of your office. You will need to constantly watch camera 9 for when Luigi appears, and once he disappears from camera 9, then you will know he's in your hallway. Something else you'll notice is that you'll never actually see Luigi in your hallway, and there's no camera for the hallway either, and he won't actually appear in the office as well. So you really need to be paying attention. Once you know that Luigi is in your hallway, you will need to hop bottom to the back shed and hold the door locked. Luigi will peer in at you, meaning he was following your big fat juicy bouncing jiggling ass all the way over here. Once Luigi leaves the window of the shed, you're free to go back to the office. Luigi brings up a great synergy with Mario. Both requiring plenty of attention on the cameras really goes to make these two a dangerous combo, and I really don't want to be stuffed by 2 Italian sausages. I also wouldn't want to eat a sausage anyways. Oh! Oh! Whoa. 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 That's cool. That's cool. I do like that. That is pretty fucking cool. I do like that. This game's gonna get fucking hard, isn't it, dude? The final threat this night introduces is Pikachu. For some fucking reason. But whatever. Pikachu makes use of the big electric fence behind you. Occasionally, Pikachu will be visible behind it, and this is when you'll notice that apparently Pikachu came from fucking Jurassic Park because this fat motherfucker is the size of Jupiter. Of course, once you see Pikachu trying to get a peek at your pecker, see what I did there? All you have to do is charge up the electric fence and give him a taste of his own medicine by shocking him like he does to Ash, and he finally will leave you alone again. I can handle a lot, but I personally think an 18-foot tall Pikachu meat between my buns would be a little too much for me. But if you can manage to learn how all these characters work together, you'll move on to night 2. Night 2 introduces a plethora of new threats, signaling to me that this may be one of the most challenging FNAF games I will ever play. It's only Night 2, and 2 new threats are added, bringing the total number of threats on Night 2 all the way up to 5. So let's talk about them. The first threat introduced on Night 2 is Kirby. I love Kirby. Kirby would never hurt me. That's a lie. This Kirby certainly would. On both your boiler room camera and back room camera, you will see 2 heat symbols have appeared. Kirby will attempt to get into your office via either of these 2 vents. So hooray! We have 2 more mandatory cameras that require our attention. The way you deal with Kirby is simple. Same as Luigi. When he enters the camera, all is good. But the moment he disappears from the camera means he's about to start rolling through your vent and into your office. When he disappears, hit the heat button to scare Kirby out of the vents. The heat only lasts 1 second, however, so you really need to make sure you time it properly. However, now is the time I get to tell you about the worst and most frustrating character we've seen so far, Meta Knight. That's right, we get 2 Kirby characters introduced at once, and just like Meta Knight in Smash Bros, he is an annoying pain in the dick. Meta Knight acts as a Foxy-like character in this game. He will appear in camera 2, which is the entrance. He will make his way through a few stages, and once he disappears from camera 2, he will charge at your office, and you'll be able to hear his footsteps quickly approaching. What you'll have to do is, as fast as you fucking can, run to the back shed and lock the door. Come in real close for me, just for a second. I'm gonna whisper this in your ear, so make sure you turn your volume up so you can hear me. You got it? Yeah? Volume all the way up? Okay, great. Don't let anyone know I told you this, okay? Meta Knight is so goddamn cock-sucking fast! You barely have any time to react once you hear his footsteps coming. You quite literally have just enough time to get to the back shed and close the door. This motherfucker is brutal. But Dxtr, you're supposed to watch him in camera 2, and once he leaves, then you go to the shed. Sounds pretty easy to me. Shut the fuck up! While yes, it's true that once he leaves camera 2, he will charge at you, watching him really doesn't even fucking matter. Because the moment he leaves 2, the sound cue of him running starts playing. So you might as well just wait for the fucking sound cue, since watching him will only waste the precious time you need to focus on the other characters that actually do give you the time of day to deal with them. And if that wasn't bad enough, Meta Knight is in the entrance, an outdoor camera, which means not only is it dark as fuck, but your fucking camera light doesn't work on that camera anyways! So you have to rely on the fucking lightning to be able to see jack dick from that camera. But the lightning is not consistent at all. It's completely random, and it only lights up outside cameras for, oh, I don't know, maybe less than a fucking second. So if you want to check the entrance, you either have to just fucking sit there and wait for the lightning to show up, which could take several seconds that you need to be using to check on the other characters, or you could wait to hear the lightning and try to quickly flip to camera 2 to check on this annoying fucker. Both options suck dick, so I guess pick your fucking poison. But if you can tighten your sphincter and listen closely and have reflexes like a god for long enough, Meta Knight will fold, you will complete Night 2, and we can begrudgingly move on to Night 3, where I can only hope to God that 3 more characters aren't introduced. Night 3, here we are. Let me tell you guys, this night does nothing to help with my crippling mental state. Because let me tell you, this night is hard. Like, really fucking hard. Let's talk about the threats introduced and why this night is so ass. This night only introduces 2 threats. However, one of them is easily the most infuriating character in this entire game. So let's talk about the one that doesn't make me want to stick my willy in a pencil sharpener first. Link. Link appears in the courtyard where we deal with Pikachu. You'll notice on this night that as you go to the courtyard, you'll now be equipped with a metal pipe. This pipe is used as a form of defense against Link. When Link appears in the courtyard, he will giggle really fucking loud to let you know he's there. You will have to hit him 3 times in order for him to go away. Every time you hit him, he will teleport to a different spot on the screen. However, you can only hit him when the Majora's Mask's eyes are red. If they're blue, you'll have to stare at him until they turn red before you can start hitting him. This brings up even more evil synergies with fuck-ass Meta Knight, since you won't be able to pass him until you kill him. Bro, he won't die. What? He wouldn't die. The Majora's Mask guy wouldn't die. And Meta Knight was coming. What was I supposed to do? Now, let's talk about one of the worst and most stressful characters known to mankind, Ness. On night 3, you'll notice in the shed that we now have a new addition of a fuse box. However, you'll notice that this fuse box only has one fuse, but there are 3 places for a fuse to go. You can freely move this fuse from one slot to another, but what does this fuse actually control? Well, on 3 cameras on the map that connect to the hallway in front of your office, there is a fire alarm in each of them. However, the button for the fire alarm will only appear on the camera that is adjacent to whichever slot in the fuse box holds the fuse. So if your fuse is in slot B, then camera 9 will have the smoke alarm button on the cameras. Ness will appear in any of these 3 possible cameras. When he appears on one of them, you will have to play the smoke alarm to scare him away. Yes, this means that if your fuse is in slot B and you see Ness on camera 11, you will have to quickly run all the way to the back shed and switch the fuse to slot C, then run all the way back and hope you were fast enough to play the smoke alarm in time. And you want to hear the best part? Ness blends in with the background while the lights are off better than any other character in this entire fucking game. So have fun being able to find him. He also really likes to hide on the side of the cameras, so you'll have to spend even more time slowly panning the 3 cameras he can be in back and forth to really be able to tell if he's in one of them. Easily the character I died to the most, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. I think I'm willing to say I hate Ness more than Meta Knight, honestly, but it's really, really close. Fuck Ness, he's a bitch. Night 4. Holy shit. I did not think they could make it any worse. And that's exactly what they did. Night 4 adds 3 new characters. Yes, I'm serious. They added 3 more fucking characters to this game, bringing the total up to like fucking, I don't know, 12? I'm not keeping track anymore. This is just insane. Before we start talking about the threats, Juniper, the phone girl, told us that there's an investigation going on. She doesn't tell us what it's about though, just says that the park might close soon for a while. She also does mention that some of the characters are starting to attack patrons during the day, so that bodes great for what they're going to do to us tonight. Speaking of, who are they? Well, let's talk about the smallest problem this night introduces, Fox Puppet. But it's really just fucking Star Fox. Star Fox has a chance to appear in the courtyard behind the fence. However, he is not a fan of being shocked by it, so if you electrocute him, he's gonna dive into your butt. Get it? Because foxes do that thing where they jump really high and dive, but he's diving into your... You get it, fuck me. When he's at your fence, all you have to do is spam your flashlight at him and he'll go away. Really not a big deal at all, and honestly, the amount of time you have to flash him is pretty forgiving. And you can even go to the back shed while he's standing there if you really want to, so in all honesty, he's not that bad. However, the next fuckhead we'll have to talk about is a pain in the dick, Captain Olimar. I'm pretty sure is who this is at least. He will appear in the hallway in your office with 2 sets of eyes. I mention his eyes because they're very important to his attack. On night 4, a thermostat will become present in your back shed, and he directly correlates with this thermostat. When you hear him enter your office, which is signaled by some footsteps, you will have to look at his eyes. If both sets of eyes are red, you will have to run to the back shed and set the thermostat to hot. If they're both blue, set it to cold, and if one set is blue and the other set are red, then set the thermostat to mixed. After a few seconds, Olimar should go away. I don't think I need to explain why this is so horseshit to deal with, especially considering the amount of characters that require so much attention, so I'm not even gonna bring it up. Just know that I'm on the verge of peeling my foreskin like a banana. The final threat this night introduces, which yes, in case you forgot, there is still another threat to throw on top of all this bullshit, is Samus. Samus will enter your office through your hallway on either side. The cameras in which she will try to enter from will now be equipped with a lock button. They're not toggleable and must be held to hold the gutters shut. When you see Samus in either of these cameras, simply hold the lock button shut for a few seconds and she'll run away. Ironically enough, even with all of these threats active, Ness is still the character that has caused me the most suffering throughout this game. He is easily the most frustrating threat of all time. I've also died to Luigi a decent handful of times at this point, just because of how easy it is to forget about him. There is surely no way this game can get any harder. Right? It got harder, so let's talk about it. The phone call from Juniper on this night has her talking about how I shouldn't come to work tomorrow and that I'm stupid for clocking in today. That we agree on. I'm not really sure why I'm here. Apparently things are getting super dangerous, so that's awesome. There's a new threat on this night who doesn't like bright lights. So Juniper said she's changed out our camera lights. Great. Hopefully they're better now. They're worse. Oh, so very worse than they were before. Now, instead of having the brightness on the cameras for a few seconds and having a long recharge time, we now have less than a second flash of light and we get a faster recharge time. This is worse in every single conceivable way possible. Dude, this new flashlight thing, fuck this. Oh my god. What is this guy gonna look like, dude? Fuck me. I personally think that a great deal of this game's difficulty comes from it being difficult to see and track the characters. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, by the way. I know the retards over on Reddit like to misconstrue every single point I've ever made. No, I think it's cool that finding the characters is a challenge. However, now only having this small flash of light makes it so fucking much more AIDS-ridden to be able to do so. So, why on earth was our camera light downgraded this badly? Well, to deal with the one new threat this night introduces. Mario. Dexter? Mario was already introduced on night 1. Did you already forget? No, dear viewer. I did not forget that. There are just 2 fucking Marios now. Why not? Fuck it, right? Why not add another existing Nintendo character? Why Mario again? I have no fucking idea. I don't really understand the thought process here, but we're just gonna shut our fucking mouths and roll with it. This Mario is easily the most stress-inducing character we've seen so far. More stressful than Ness, more stressful than Meta Knight. Occasionally, throughout this night, you'll hear Mario say, Wahoo. And that just means bad news for you. Do you want to take a solid guess as to what you have to do when you hear this sound cue? Go on, go ahead. Guess for me. I've not really complained about any of the mechanics introduced so far, as I feel each of them are pretty unique and offer something of substance to the gameplay loop. So come on, tell me what you think this game is about to do to me. Come here, come here, come here, come here, guess! Guess, you piece of shit! Guess what this game did to me! You have to go find Mario on one of the cameras at random and flash him with your light. I'll find them on the camera mechanic again. How many videos in a row have we had this on this channel? I don't think there's ever been a video where this dog shit cock-sucking mechanic wasn't present. And that's not all. No, no, no. Not only do you have to find him on a random camera that he teleports to once, no, you have to find him on a random camera that he teleports to 3 times in a fucking row! Are you kidding me? Most characters in this game only have you deal with them once or twice throughout the night. Mario? At least fucking 3! You have to find this motherfucker on a random camera, while timed, by the way, and dealing with every other character at the same time, a whopping 9 fucking times! Fuck! 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 I can't fucking handle this shit! This is too much for my brain to handle! Over 10 fucking characters to deal with at the same goddamn time! And all of a sudden I'm in with this bullshit! This game is shoving carrots in my ass like some Bugs Bunny shit! What the fuck is wrong with you? Give me another character that forces me to go to this shit! I don't give a fuck! Not another! Find them on the fucking camera character! You've gotta be fucking me in my rear! Go find my dick! Go find my ass! Go find my balls! Go find my taint! Go find my tits! Chop my penis into 10 fucking pieces and throw each piece onto a camera and go fucking find them all! Fuck you!
Nintendo, no, you ain't gonna stop me when I get it going. I ain't gonna slow, no, curtains ain't closing. Pouring all the salt, keep the insults flowing. Light up all the incense, come before the storm. Gather in the Smash Bros army like a swarm. Find them on the cameras, nothing but the norm. Cause another crash out, dog, I'm getting bored. Said, dog, I'm getting bored with you. I'm warning you, you don't really wanna start another war, do you? I don't know who's been around here misinforming you. When you fuck with Dexter, what the horns pouring at you? Up first, Mario is on the chopping block. The fat fuck plumber getting nothing on his cock. His bitch is locked up with a lizard, dropping cheeks on his rock hard fucking penis round the clock. God damn, it's fucking
King Boo, does he dare to check another? No, it ain't true. Check your Snapchat, bro, she's saying he's bigger than you. Damn! I dumb bitch, I've been locked in on like Samus and that other bitch, Mega Man. Link on my shit, I could knock you with both hands. Make your head spin, do a dance on your can. Pikachu, flash a light at Pikachu. You behind the fence, I charge it up and thunderbolt you. Now you fried up, but we still got another hoe to boot. Star Fox turn, flash, epilepsy. Ooh! You get a seizure, Kirby in my heater. Blast his ass into the fucking ether. Sam is back, her ass so fat I need her. Call her lowest way, she gripped my Peter. Nintendo, no! Never gonna switch games, I'm about to blow. I've been making big waves, I've been good to go. Do you need to hit save, Annie, yes or no? Nintendo, no! I've been shooting at them like it's Rochambeau. I could kamikaze on a rainbow road. I might cause a riot when I beat them bros. Do you need to hit save, Annie, yes or no?
Alright, coming real close. Answer me this question, why you bitches on my chode? Ness is looking at me, licking lips, don't want it though. Gotta flip the fuse box, keep this on the low. Alright, look, I don't know why you're doing this shit. I'm just trying to do my job and you keep riding on my dick. If it was Samus, that'd be fine, but it'd be everybody. Why just trying to make it through the week, but you keep stretching out the time. Like my asshole, keep on pulling me in with a lasso. Ride me like a cowboy in the desert in El Paso. Friday come along and met a night beyond me bed. And matter of fact, he spanked me with a paddle, made my ass rattle. Put a saddle on me, hit me with a rowel, then he growl in the locker room. He hit me with a towel, then he plowing on my shit. I'm doing tricks up on a stick. I did the split contortionist aboard that flip me over, slide me, bend me over backwards. Nintendo, no! Never gonna switch games, I'm about to blow. I've been making big waves, I've been good to go. Do you need to hit save, Annie, yes or no? Nintendo, no! I've been shooting at him like it's Rochambeau. I could kamikaze on a rainbow road. I might cause a riot when I beat them bros. Do you need to hit save, Annie, yes or no? Well, glad I got all that out of my system. With that, we can move on to night 6 and talk about something that actually doesn't make me want to kill myself. However, it does still lay a lot on you. Loading into night 6, you'll see we're no longer in the office and we are now actually in a fucking bunker. How did we get here? I have no idea, but that doesn't really matter. What does matter, however, are the new tools at our disposal. However, me explaining all of them to you right now will not be very helpful. So I'll quickly explain the general tools and then we'll talk about the character-specific ones as we learn about said characters. Obviously, we have our cameras, pretty self-explanatory. We also have 3 entrances to our office, the big hallway right in front of us, and 2 doors to our left and right. These doors can be closed remotely through the cameras, but you have to slowly charge them up before they can close, and only one can be closed at a time. Also, at any time we'd like, we can cut the power to our office and be left in complete darkness with our thoughts, like me late at night questioning what I'm even doing anymore. But this isn't a therapy session, so let's continue. What about the threats introduced on this night? Given the fact we're in a different location, it has to be different characters, right? Well, that would actually be correct. However, one of the characters is a repeat. Remember that one Mario that I really didn't like from night 5? I know I was pretty subtle about it. Well, it appears he followed us down here. However, he is incredibly easy to deal with this time around. He'll wander around the cameras and eventually find his way into your office. Once he stands in front of you, menacingly, all you have to do is whip out your fucking baton like my Willy and tase him in the balls. I'm not kidding. This is fucking awesome and is just what I need after dealing with the bullshit he put me through on night 5. The next threat introduced on this night is Mega Man. He is also pretty simple. He will try to enter your office through your left or right door. When you see him in that door's respective camera, simply charge up that door and seal it shut. Once he bangs on it, you're free to open the door again. Next, we've got to talk about the Villager. She confused me quite a bit during my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. She will enter your office through any of the 3 possible entrances. Her rules state that once she enters your office, shut the lights off until you hear her run away. So tell me, what do you think that means? If you answered, wait until she appears in your office like Mario, then cut the lights until you hear footsteps, then turn the lights back on and continue, then you'd be completely fucking wrong, because she actually never appears in your office at all. You cannot see her when she's inside of your office, even if she is literally there. So, how are you meant to deal with her then? Well, you'll have to carefully track her on the cameras. When she enters camera 8, 7, or 6, her next movement will be into your office.
So if you see her on one of those cameras and then don't see her anymore, that means she's currently in your office and you need to cut the lights. The best part? If you have the left door closed and she goes to camera 6, indicating that she will be entering your office through the left door, even if it's closed like we've already established, she'll still be able to enter your office through that door. Isn't that just amazing? Anyways, I could point out the nuances all day long, but that's not what you're here for. The final threat introduced on this night is Andros, a character I've legitimately never seen before in my entire life. I've been able to recognize each character so far, even if I haven't played the game they were from, like Star Fox, for example. But Andros? What the fuck is even that? Okay, I just looked it up. It's the main antagonist of Star Fox. Crazy coincidence that I just mentioned Star Fox and that I've never played it. That would make sense as to why I didn't know who this was then. Anyways, what does he actually do? Well, in my opinion, he is the most annoying character on this night. He is completely invisible on the cameras, and if he ever gets into your office, you die. In order to track him, you have to use the camera's built-in motion detectors. However, something really interesting about these motion detectors is that they're a piece of shit. Every single camera has the motion detector button. However, only one of the buttons on the cameras will work at a time, at random, and every few seconds, which camera has the working button will switch randomly. Meaning that, even though there's no character on this night that has a find them on the camera mechanic, these fucked up, morbid devs somehow find a way to work that bullshit into the fucking UI! What the fuck are you doing to me? I need to relax. I can't scream anymore. Breathe. How do we deal with Andros? Well, when he is on either camera 8, 7, or 6, you will have to use your heater on whichever camera he's on. Using the UI on the cameras, you can select which camera the heater targets and then blast heat into said camera remotely. Doing so will scare Andros away. Now, that's all of the characters this night introduces. However, there's still one more very important thing I've neglected to mention. Unlike every other night present in this game, Night 6 has a task-based completion system rather than a survival-based one. So that bodes the question, what is the task we have to complete? Well, on the computer at your desk, there are 5 important files we have to decrypt and extract onto our USB drive. The way we decrypt them is simple. Several strings of 4-digit number codes will appear on the monitor, and all we have to do is type them in. Type in several 4-string digit codes without messing up in a row, and trust me, it'll feel like you'll have to do this a billion fucking times, and you'll download one of the files. Do this for all 5 files, and the night is over. This task being added to this night easily makes it the most stressful mechanic this game has ever introduced. I was not expecting something like this from this game, and I honestly wasn't expecting a crazy final night like this in general. I'm all for it. Overall, I do still think Night 5 was harder than this night, but this was definitely a nice change of pace. After completing the night, we take our USB, run out of the bunker and into the parking lot, and drive off to the police station to show them our evidence. Looking back, we notice Mario followed us out and was left standing in the parking lot. We almost didn't make it out alive. It's revealed that our name isn't really Terrence, and we've secretly been an undercover investigator this entire time. The police raided Nintendo World and arrested the CEO, Leonard. Everything we mentioned in our report was found, except for one single thing: Mario himself. The only thing that was left to even prove he was present was his hat. Not knowing his whereabouts now, late shift at Nintendo World comes to a close. Kind of. There's actually a fuck ton more this game has to offer in the form of post-game content and challenges, with a whopping 12 additional characters for us to unlock and fuck around with. There's 9 other ones? There's 12 more? At the time of writing, I have no idea how these characters are achieved except for one. In the challenges menu, 2 fun challenges are present, and when I say fun, I really just mean ass. The first is blind mode, which will cause a constant blizzard to be present during the nights, making it harder to see in your office and in the courtyard. It also forces Night 5's shitty flash mechanic throughout the nights, and increases the amount of time you have to wait between flashes to make it even worse. And if that wasn't enough, blind mode still has one more big fuck you, in the form of a new threat: the Ice Climbers. The way they work is pretty simple, but retarded nonetheless. They have a chance to appear in any of the 3 major locations you can be in. If you ever see them, you just have to go to another area until they leave. I can't describe how terrible that sounds. Again, at the time of writing this, I have no plans to attempt this challenge, nor any of the custom night modes, which I assume will unlock the remaining characters. I do have the thought of attempting these on stream in the coming weeks, so let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing me doing and covering. Overall, I think Late Shift at Nintendo World is actually amazing. While I did find a lot of the characters annoying and stressful, the overall gameplay loop is very satisfying to nail down and will leave you feeling like a badass as you complete it. Yes, the entire game is just an asset dump, but you can't deny the crazy amount of effort and care put into it, and that's something I can always appreciate. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think this game is just another shitty asset dump to be thrown onto the pile? Let me know in the comments below. In my FNAF 87 rewritten video, I asked you guys what your favorite FNAF 2 remake was and why, and my favorite answer was this one by Mr. Stick Official. They said FNAF 2 Reimagined, and yeah, that's an incredibly fair answer. That game was amazing, and you can watch my review of that game over on this channel after you finish this video. To subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it a lot. Thank you to these 3 talented artists for their fan art. You can submit yours in the Discord, link in the description. Thank you to all of my superfan channel members. You guys ooze Riz juice. I've been Dexter, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!